My mother-in-law fakes a terminal illness to manipulate my husband into moving closer to her. When I uncover the truth, she begs me to stay silent, claiming it's to protect a family secret that could ruin us all. She said she had 6 months left to live, but her medicine cabinet told a different story. What would you do if someone faked their own death just to control your marriage? Share your thoughts in the comments. Hi, I'm in my early 30s, and this is my story. One that pulled me into a web of manipulation, secrets, and choices I never thought I'd have to make. It began when my mother-in-law called us one evening, sobbing, saying the doctors had given her a terminal diagnosis. My husband dropped everything, and that's when everything started falling apart. But before we get into it, I just want to say thank you for being here. You've become part of this growing community where we share, relate, and heal through stories. It means a lot. Also, thank you for your support and comments. Keep us going. Let us begin. The phone rang at 11:47 p.m., its shrill tones slicing through the quiet of our apartment. I was half asleep, curled up on the couch with a glass of wine I hadn't touched in an hour. Aaron, my husband, was in the kitchen, scrolling through listings for our new home 2 states away, a fixer-upper with a wraparound porch we'd fallen in love with. The deposit was paid, our future finally taking shape. Then the phone buzzed again, insistent, and Aaron grabbed it, his face tightening as he saw the caller ID. "Mom?" His voice was soft, cautious, like he already knew something heavy was coming. I sat up, watching him. His shoulders hunched as he listened, and within seconds, his hand was gripping the counter, knuckles white. "What do you mean, 6 months?" he whispered, his voice cracking. I couldn't hear her words, but the weight of them filled the room. Aaron's eyes glistened, and he sank into a chair, nodding slowly. "Okay, Mom. Okay. We'll figure it out." When he hung up, he looked at me, his face a mix of shock and something else. Guilt, maybe. "She's got stage 4 cancer," he said, barely above a whisper. "She might not make it to next year." I froze. My mind scrambled for the right thing to say, but all I could manage was, "Are you sure? Did she see a specialist?" It sounded cold, even to me, but something about the call felt rehearsed. I couldn't place it, just a flicker of doubt in my gut. Aaron's eyes narrowed, defensive. "What do you mean, am I sure? She was sobbing, babe. She's terrified." I nodded, swallowing my unease. "Of course. I'm sorry. It's just a lot." I reached for his hand, but he pulled away, staring at the floor. That was the first crack in our foundation, small but sharp. The next morning, Aaron was already on the phone with his mom, Linda, making plans. I overheard snippets as I brewed coffee, her voice steady, almost cheerful, as she talked about doctors and treatments. "I'm fighting, sweetheart," she said, loud enough for me to hear. "But I need you here. I can't do this alone." By noon, Aaron had made up his mind. "We have to move back," he said, his tone leaving no room for debate. "She's my mom. If she's got months left, I can't be 1,000 miles away." I stared at him, my coffee going cold in my hands. "Aaron, we just put down the deposit. The house, our plans. Plans change," he snapped, then softened, running a hand through his hair. "Look, I know it's a lot, but she's dying. What am I supposed to do, let her face this alone?" I wanted to argue, to ask why she hadn't mentioned symptoms before, why this felt so sudden, but his eyes were pleading and I loved him too much to push. "Okay," I said quietly, "we'll move." The doubt lingered, though, like a splinter I couldn't dig out. Linda had always been intense, charming when she wanted to be, but controlling in ways that left you questioning yourself. When we got engaged, she'd suggested changes to our wedding, venue, guest list, even my dress, until Aaron stepped in. She'd smiled, backed off, but her eyes had lingered on me, sharp and unreadable. Now, with this diagnosis, I felt that same unease, only amplified. We packed up our lives in 3 weeks. The dream home was gone, the deposit non-refundable. We found a cramped rental in Aaron's hometown, a half-mile from Linda's sprawling colonial. The day we arrived, she was waiting on her porch, waving like we were guests at a barbecue. She looked radiant, pink cheeks, bright eyes, not a hint of frailty. I blinked, caught off guard. Was this the woman with 6 months to live? "You made it," she called, pulling Erin into a hug. She turned to me, her smile tight. "Thank you for coming. It means everything." I forced a smile. "Of course, Linda. We're here for you." Inside, her house was immaculate, filled with fresh flowers and the smell of baked bread. She bustled around, offering us lemonade, chatting about her garden. "I've been keeping busy," she said, brushing off Erin's concern. "Keeps my mind off things." I watched her, my unease growing. "How's treatment going?" I asked, keeping my tone light. She waved a hand. "Oh, it's experimental. Some new drug trial. Gives me energy, thank God. I'm not ready to lie in bed all day." Erin nodded, hanging on her every word, but I couldn't shake the feeling that something was off. Her answers were too smooth, her energy too vibrant. That night, in our rental, I lay awake, replaying her words. Experimental treatment? Fine, maybe. But why hadn't she shared details? Doctors' names, hospital visits, anything concrete? The next week I saw her at a Zumba class in town, laughing and spinning with women half her age. I stood outside the studio, watching through the window, my stomach twisting. She didn't look sick. She looked alive. When she spotted me, her smile faltered for a split second before she waved, beckoning me inside. "Didn't expect to see you here," she said, catching her breath. "Just trying to stay strong, you know?" "Yeah," I said, forcing a laugh. "You're doing great." Back home, I tried talking to Erin. "She was at Zumba today," I said carefully, stirring pasta on the stove. "She seems really healthy." He frowned, setting down his beer. "What are you saying? She's supposed to just give up and waste away?" "No, it's just—" I hesitated, choosing my words. "Don't you think it's weird? She's gardening, hosting book clubs, dancing. Does that sound like someone with stage 4 cancer?" His jaw tightened. "She's fighting, okay? People don't all react the same way to illness. Why are you so suspicious?" "I'm not suspicious," I lied, my voice shaking. "I'm just confused." He stood, grabbing his keys. "I'm going for a drive." The door slammed and I sank into a chair, my mind racing. Was I wrong to doubt her, or was my gut trying to tell me something? The next day, I found myself at Linda's house, dropping off a casserole Erin insisted we bring. She was in the kitchen, humming, her phone buzzing with texts. As she stepped outside to take a call, I noticed her medicine cabinet slightly ajar. My heart pounded. I shouldn't snoop. I knew that, but the doubt was eating me alive. I opened the cabinet. No chemo drugs, no heavy prescriptions, just vitamins, aspirin, and a bottle of something labeled herbal supplement. My breath caught. This wasn't the arsenal of a cancer patient. I snapped a photo with my phone, my hands trembling, just as I heard her footsteps. "What are you doing?" Linda's voice was sharp, her eyes locked on me. I spun around, my heart in my throat. I was looking for a Band-Aid. I cut my finger." Her gaze flicked to the cabinet, then back to me. For a moment I thought she'd call me out, but she smiled, slow and deliberate. "Careful, dear. You don't want to go poking around where you shouldn't." The air felt thick, her words hanging between us. I mumbled an apology and left, the photo burning a hole in my pocket. That night, I couldn't sleep. The pieces weren't adding up. Her energy, her vague answers, the empty medicine cabinet. Was she lying? And if she was, why? What could she possibly gain by faking a terminal illness? The next morning, Erin was distant, still upset from our fight. I wanted to show him the photo, to demand answers, but something stopped me. If I was wrong, I'd destroy his trust in me. If I was right, what then? I needed proof, something undeniable. So I started watching Linda closer, noting her routines, her visitors. She was too perfect, too composed, like she was playing a part. Then one evening, I saw her slip into her garage with a man I didn't recognize. They spoke in hushed tones, her gestures urgent. I couldn't hear them, but the way she glanced around, nervous, told me she was hiding something. When she caught me watching from the sidewalk, her face hardened. "You're always around, aren't you?" she said, her voice low. "Be careful, sweetheart. Some secrets aren't meant to be dug up." Her words sent a chill through me, but I held her gaze. "I'm just looking out for Aaron," I said, my voice steadier than I felt. She smiled, but it didn't reach her eyes. "Good, because he's all that matters." As I walked away, my mind spun with questions. What was she hiding? Was it just about the illness, or was there something bigger, something that could tear us apart? I didn't know yet, but I was determined to find out, even if it meant risking everything. I walked away from Linda's house, her warning echoing in my head. Some secrets aren't meant to be dug up. My pulse hadn't slowed since our exchange. Her cold smile burned into my memory. The photo of her medicine cabinet, vitamins, collagen, lavender oils, but no trace of cancer meds, sat heavy in my phone. I hadn't shown Aaron yet. I couldn't, not until I had more proof. If I was wrong, I'd shatter his trust. If I was right, I wasn't sure what it would do to us. That night, Aaron came home late, his face drawn. "Mom's having a rough day," he said, tossing his keys on the counter. "She's talking about hospice now." I froze, my fork halfway to my mouth. "Hospice? Did she show you paperwork? Talk to her doctor?" He sighed, exasperated. "Why do you need paperwork? She's my mom, not a case study." "I just want to understand," I said, my voice tight. "Things don't add up, Aaron." He stared at me, his eyes hard. "You're unbelievable. She's dying and you're playing detective." The words stung, but I held my ground. "I'm trying to protect us. Something's not right." He grabbed his jacket and left without another word. The silence in our rental was deafening, my thoughts spiraling. Linda's vibrant energy, her vague answers, that man in the garage. What was she hiding? I needed answers, and I needed them now. The next afternoon, I volunteered to drop off soup at Linda's. Aaron thought it was a peace offering, but I had other plans. My hands shook as I knocked on her door, the weight of what I was about to do pressing on me. She answered, her smile as polished as ever, but her eyes flicked over me, searching. "Thought you could use some comfort food," I said, holding up the container. "How sweet," she replied, stepping aside. "Come in, I'm just tidying up." Inside, her house was pristine, as always. She chatted about her book club, her voice light, but I barely listened. My eyes darted to the kitchen, to the medicine cabinet I'd glimpsed before. I needed to see it again, to confirm what I'd found. "Mind if I grab a spoon?" I asked, moving toward the drawer before she could answer. Her smile tightened. "I'll get it." "No, it's fine," I said, already opening the drawer. My heart pounded as I fumbled, deliberately clumsy, buying time. She hovered nearby, her gaze sharp, but I slipped toward the cabinet, cracking it open just enough to peek inside. There they were, the same vitamins, collagen, lavender oils. No prescriptions, no chemo drugs, nothing to suggest a terminal illness. My breath caught, and I snapped another photo, my fingers trembling. "What are you doing?" Linda's voice was like a blade cutting through the air. I spun around, the cabinet still ajar. She stood in the doorway, her face unreadable, but her eyes blazing. I was looking for napkins," I stammered, my voice betraying me. "Napkins," she repeated, stepping closer. "In my medicine cabinet?" I swallowed, my mind racing. "I got confused. I'm sorry." She didn't move, her stare pinning me in place. For a moment, I thought she'd lunge, demand my phone, but instead, she tilted her head, her voice dropping. "You're curious, aren't you? Always watching, always questioning." "I'm not," I started, but she cut me off. "Don't lie to me," she said, her tone low, almost pleading. "You think I'm faking it. The cancer, all of it." My mouth went dry. This was it, the moment to confront her or back down. "I saw the cabinet," I said, my voice steadier now. "No meds, Linda." "Nothing for cancer. What's going on? She laughed, a sharp, bitter sound that sent a chill through me. You have no idea what you're stepping into, she said, stepping closer. You think you're protecting Aaron? You're putting him in danger. Danger? I echoed, my heart racing. What are you talking about? She hesitated, her eyes searching mine, and for the first time, I saw something like fear in her expression. There's a reason I need him close, she said, her voice barely above a whisper. A family secret, one that could destroy us all if it gets out. The cancer, it's a cover, but you can't tell him. Promise me you won't. I stared at her, my mind reeling. A secret? A cover? What secret? I demanded. If you're lying about being sick, you owe me the truth. She shook her head, her hands trembling now. You don't understand. If Aaron knows, he'll dig and he won't stop. It'll ruin him, ruin us. Please, just stay quiet, for his sake. I took a step back, my thoughts a tangled mess. You expect me to keep this from him? To lie to my husband? I'm begging you, she said, her voice breaking. You love him, don't you? Then protect him. Keep this between us. The air felt thick, the weight of her words pressing on me. I wanted to scream, to demand answers, but her desperation was real, and it shook me. What could be so terrible that she'd fake a terminal illness to hide it? And why was she so sure it would destroy Aaron? I need time, I said finally, my voice shaking. I won't say anything, yet, but you need to tell me everything. She nodded, her shoulders sagging with relief. Soon, she whispered, just be careful who you trust. I left her house in a daze, the soup forgotten on the counter. The photo on my phone felt like a ticking bomb, and Linda's words looped in my mind. A family secret. Danger. I wanted to believe she was manipulating me again, but the fear in her eyes was undeniable. What was she hiding, and how deep did this go? That night, I sat alone in our rental, staring at the photo of the cabinet. Aaron was still at Linda's, probably holding her hand, believing her lies. I couldn't tell him yet, not without proof, not without understanding what this secret was, but I couldn't stay silent forever. I opened my laptop, my fingers hovering over the keyboard. I typed Linda Carter medical records into a search engine, then deleted it. Too risky. Instead, I started digging into her past, social media, old acquaintances, anything that might hint at what she was hiding. A notification popped up on my phone, a text from an unknown number. Stop digging. You're making things worse. My blood ran cold. I checked the number, but it was untraceable. A burner. Was it Linda? Someone else? My hands shook as I typed a reply. Who is this? But it bounced back, undelivered. I locked the doors, my heart pounding. The house felt too quiet, too exposed. I didn't know what I'd uncovered, but it was bigger than I'd imagined. Linda wasn't just lying about her illness. She was guarding something dangerous, something worth threatening me over. I needed answers, but every step felt like walking into a trap. What had I gotten myself into, and how far would Linda go to keep her secret buried? I stared at my phone, the text from the unknown number glaring back at me. Stop digging. You're making things worse. My hands trembled as I set it down, the silence of our rental pressing in. Linda's plea echoed in my mind, her talk of a family secret, her fear that telling Aaron would destroy him. But the photo of her empty medicine cabinet, the vitamins and lavender oils instead of cancer meds, burned brighter. She wasn't just hiding something, she was lying, and now someone was watching me. I locked the doors again, my pulse racing, but sleep was impossible. I needed answers, and I couldn't wait for Linda to spoon-feed me half-truths. The next morning, Aaron was still at his mom's, oblivious to the storm brewing. I sat at the kitchen table, my laptop open, debating my next move. Linda's warning about a dangerous secret felt like a hook, meant to keep me quiet, but it only fueled my resolve. If she was faking her illness, I needed proof, something undeniable to show Aaron, something to break through his loyalty. I grabbed my phone and scrolled through my call history, my finger hovering over a number I'd saved from one of Linda's treatment stories. The clinic she'd mentioned, a small oncology center an hour away. I dialed, my heart in my throat. A receptionist answered, her voice clipped but polite. Westview Oncology, how can I help you? Hi, I said, forcing calm. I'm calling about a patient, Linda Carter. She said she was diagnosed there with stage 4 cancer. There was a pause, the sound of typing. Then, I'm sorry, ma'am, we have no patient by that name. My stomach dropped. Are you sure? Could she be registered under another name? Maybe a maiden name or... No, the receptionist cut in, firmer now. That name's not in our system at all. I've checked all variations. I thanked her and hung up, my hands shaking. The floor felt like it was tilting beneath me. Linda had lied. Not just to Aaron, but to me, to everyone. No diagnosis, no cancer, no 6 months to live. The weight of it hit me like a punch. She'd manipulated us into upending our lives, abandoning our dream home, all for a lie. But why? What was this family secret she claimed justified it? I wanted to call Aaron, to tell him everything, but his words from last night stopped me. You're playing detective. He wasn't ready to hear it, not without hard evidence. In Linda's cryptic warnings, that threatening text, someone was watching, and I didn't know how deep this went. I needed to be smart, to move carefully. That afternoon, I drove to Linda's under the pretense of checking on her. My real plan was to confront her, to demand the truth about the clinic, the secret, everything. But as I pulled into her driveway, I saw her through the window, laughing with a woman I didn't recognize. They were sipping wine, Linda's gestures animated, her face glowing. No hospice, no weakness, just a woman living her best life. My anger flared, but I swallowed it, knocking on the door with a forced smile. She answered, her expression shifting from surprise to something guarded. Didn't expect you, she said, stepping outside and closing the door behind her, blocking my view of her guest. Everything okay? I called the clinic, I said, my voice low, steady. Westview Oncology. They've never heard of you. Her eyes widened, just for a second, before her smile returned, tighter now. You must have called the wrong place. I've been to so many... Stop, I cut in, my patient's gone. They checked every variation of your name. You're not a patient. You lied about the cancer, Linda. Why? She glanced back at the house, then grabbed my arm, pulling me toward the garage. Keep your voice down, she hissed. You don't know what you're stirring up. Then tell me, I said, yanking my arm free. You said there's a secret, something that could ruin Aaron. What is it? Because I'm done with your games. Her face crumpled, and for a moment, I thought she'd break. It's not a game, she whispered, her voice raw. You think I want to do this? Lie to my son? To you? I'm protecting him. From what? I pressed, my voice rising despite myself. What's so bad you'd fake a terminal illness? She looked around, her eyes darting like a cornered animal. Not here, she said. Meet me tomorrow, at the park by the lake. I'll tell you everything, but you have to promise. Don't tell Aaron yet. He can't handle it. I stared at her, my mind racing. Was this another stall, another layer of manipulation, or was she finally cracking? I'm not promising anything, I said, but I'll meet you, and you'd better have answers. She nodded, her shoulders sagging. Tomorrow, noon, please. Just trust me for now. I drove home, my thoughts a tangle of anger and doubt. Linda's desperation felt real, but so had her tears on that first phone call. I couldn't trust her, not after the lies, the threats. But I needed to know what she was hiding, and I needed to protect Aaron even if he didn't see it yet. That night, Aaron came home, his eyes red from crying. Mom's talking about her will, he said, his voice hollow. She's scared, babe. I don't know how to do this without her. I pulled him close, my heart breaking for him, but my resolve hardening. We'll get through it, I said, the words tasting bitter. I couldn't tell him yet, not until I met Linda, not until I had the full truth, but the weight of keeping it from him was crushing me. The next morning, I found a note slipped under our door. Back off. or you'll regret it. No signature, just sharp black ink. My blood ran cold. It wasn't Linda's handwriting. I'd seen her notes to Aaron, flowery and neat. Someone else was involved, someone who knew I was digging. I checked my phone, half expecting another text, but it was silent. Too silent. I spent the morning pacing, replaying every moment. Linda's lies, the clinic's confirmation, the man in her garage, the woman with the wine. Who were they? What were they protecting? By the time I headed to the park, my nerves were raw, every rustle of leaves making me jump. Linda was already there, sitting on a bench by the lake, her face pale, her hands twisting in her lap. "You came," she said, her voice barely audible. "I wasn't sure you would." "I'm here," I said, sitting beside her but keeping my distance. "Now talk. What's the secret? Why are you doing this?" She took a shaky breath, her eyes fixed on the water. "It's about Aaron's father," she said. "He didn't die in a car accident like I told Aaron. He's alive, and if Aaron finds out, it'll destroy everything." I stared at her, my mind reeling. Aaron's father, alive? For years, Linda had spun a story of a tragic crash, a heroic dad gone too soon. Aaron had grown up with that loss shaping him, visiting a grave that, didn't exist? "Why lie about that?" I asked, my voice shaking. "And what does this have to do with faking cancer?" Her eyes met mine, filled with something like dread. "Because his father's not a good man," she said. "He's dangerous, and he's closer than you think. I needed Aaron here, under my watch, to keep him safe. The cancer was the only way to get him back." I leaned back, my head spinning. A dangerous father, a fake illness, threats to stop my search. This wasn't just a lie. It was a web, and I was caught in it. "Who's threatening me?" I asked. "The texts, the notes, is that him?" Linda's face went white. "You got threats?" she whispered. "Oh God, he knows you're digging. You have to stop, please, for Aaron's sake." But I was done with her pleas. "Tell me who he is," I said, my voice hard. "Or I go to Aaron right now." She opened her mouth, but a shadow moved behind us, a man, watching from the trees. Linda froze, her hand gripping mine. "Go!" she hissed. "Now!" I stood, my heart pounding, and walked away, feeling his eyes on me. The truth was closer, but so was the danger, and I wasn't sure I could outrun either. I left the park, my heart hammering, the image of the man in the trees seared into my mind. Linda's grip on my hand, her whispered "go," echoed with a fear I couldn't ignore. Aaron's father, alive, dangerous, and close, changed everything. Her fake cancer wasn't just manipulation. It was a desperate shield for a truth she'd buried for years. But the threats, the text, the note, meant someone else was guarding that secret too, and they wanted me silent. I drove home, checking my rearview mirror, half expecting to see that shadow following me. Aaron was at the rental when I got back, slumped on the couch, his face etched with worry. "Mom's worse," he said, not looking up. "She's talking about funeral plans now." The lie twisted in my gut. I wanted to tell him everything, the clinic, the empty medicine cabinet, his father. But Linda's warning, the man in the trees, stopped me. I needed her to confess, to lay it all bare before I broke Aaron's world apart. "I'm going to see her," I said, grabbing my keys. "Tonight." He frowned. "Now?" "It's late." "I need to," I said, my voice firm. "Stay here." I pulled into Linda's driveway at dusk, the house glowing warmly, a cruel contrast to the storm inside me. She answered the door, her face pale, eyes darting past me like she expected someone else. "You shouldn't be here," she said, but I pushed past her, stepping into the living room. "Tell me the truth," I said, my voice steady despite the fear clawing at me. "Are you really sick?" She paused, her hands twisting together, and for a moment I thought she'd dodge again. "It's not what you think," she said finally, her voice low. "You told your son you were dying," I snapped, my patience gone. "You uprooted our lives, Linda. No more games. Are you sick or not?" Her face crumpled and she sank onto the couch, tears spilling down her cheeks. These weren't the calculated sobs from that first phone call. They were raw, jagged. I had to, she choked out. I needed him here. I couldn't let the secret get out. What secret? I pressed, my heart pounding. You said his father's alive. Who is he? Why does it matter? She wiped her eyes, her gaze distant. His father isn't who Aaron thinks he is, she said, her voice barely audible. He's not the man in the photos, the hero I made up. He's someone else, someone dangerous. I stared at her, the room tilting. Dangerous how? You can't just say that and stop. Who is he, Linda? Why fake cancer to hide him? She shook her head, her hands trembling. You don't understand. If Aaron knows, he'll look for him. He's his father's son, stubborn, relentless. And if he finds him... She trailed off, her eyes meeting mine, filled with dread. It'll destroy him. Everything. Stop talking in riddles, I said, my voice rising. Who's threatening me? The texts, the notes. Is that him? Is he watching us? Her breath hitched, and she stood, pacing. I didn't want this, she whispered. I thought I could control it, keep Aaron close, keep him safe, but he knows you're digging. He's always watching. Who? I demanded, stepping closer. Give me a name. She opened her mouth, but a sharp knock at the door froze us both. Her eyes widened, panic flashing across her face. Don't answer it, she hissed, grabbing my arm. Please. I shook her off, my anger outweighing my fear, and yanked the door open. No one was there, just a folded note on the doorstep. I grabbed it, my hands shaking, and read, Last warning. Drop it, or Aaron pays. Linda gasped behind me, her hand over her mouth. You see? She whispered. This is why I lied. To protect him. I turned to her, the note crumpled in my fist. Protect him from what? I'm not stopping until you tell me everything. Her eyes darted to the window, then back to me. Tomorrow, she said, her voice breaking. I'll tell you, but you have to trust me. He's closer than you think. I stood in Linda's living room, the note, last warning. Drop it, or Aaron pays, clenched in my hand, her plea ringing in my ears. He's closer than you think. My mind raced, piecing together her lies, the fake cancer, the mysterious father, the threats. Whoever was watching us was tied to this secret, and Linda's fear was palpable, her eyes darting to the windows like she expected him to appear. I wanted to demand a name, to shake the truth out of her, but that knock had rattled us both. Tomorrow, she'd promised, but I wasn't sure I could wait. I drove home, the note burning a hole in my pocket. Aaron was asleep on the couch, oblivious to the storm I was carrying. I couldn't tell him. Not yet, not without the whole truth. The next morning, I returned to Linda's, my resolve hardened. She was waiting, her face drawn, a cup of tea untouched on the table. No more delays, I said, sitting across from her. Who's Aaron's father? What are you hiding? She took a shaky breath, her hands twisting. 30 years ago, she began, her voice barely audible. I had an affair with my husband's business partner, Richard. Aaron, he's not my husband's son. The words hit like a shockwave. Aaron, raised on stories of a heroic father lost in a crash, wasn't that man's son. His entire identity, his inheritance, his sense of self, was built on a lie. Richard's alive? I asked, my voice trembling. She nodded, tears welling. He's dangerous, unstable. When I ended it, he threatened to ruin us. I told Aaron his father died to protect him, but Richard's back, and he knows you're digging. I leaned back, my mind reeling. She wasn't dying, but her desperation was real, rooted in guilt and fear. If the truth came out, she said, it would destroy everything, his inheritance, his sense of identity, everything. The business, the estate, it's all tied to my husband's name. Richard could claim it, ruin Aaron. Why fake cancer? I pressed, anger flaring. Why lie to your son?
To keep him close, she choked out. Richard was circling. I needed Aaron here safe under my watch. The cancer was the only way. I stared at her, torn between pity and rage. And the threats? That's Richard? She nodded, her voice breaking. He'll hurt Aaron if you keep pushing. Please don't tell him. Don't ruin him to punish me. Her plea hung heavy, but my loyalty was to Aaron. He deserves the truth, I said, standing. I won't lie to him. Linda grabbed my hand, her eyes wild. Wait! Richard's watching. If you tell Aaron he'll confront him, it's not safe. I pulled free, my heart pounding. Richard was out there, a shadow closing in. I needed to protect Aaron, but the truth was a ticking bomb. As I left, I felt eyes on me, the weight of a secret that could shatter us all. I left Linda's house, her desperate plea, don't ruin him to punish me, clinging to me like damp air. The truth about Aaron's father, Richard, a dangerous man lurking in the shadows, pulsed in my mind. Her fake cancer, the threats, the affair. It was a house of cards, and I held the match. Richard's note, last warning.
Drop it, or Aaron pays, was tucked in my pocket, a constant reminder of the stakes. I wanted to tell Aaron everything, to free us from her lies. But Linda's fear of Richard's retaliation felt real. As I drove home, every passing car felt like a threat, his shadow looming closer. Aaron was in the kitchen when I got back, chopping vegetables for dinner, his face softer than it had been in days. He looked up, smiling faintly. You okay? You've been off. I froze, the weight of the secret pressing on my chest. Do I tell my husband his mother lied, not just about dying, but about his very identity? Or do I protect the fragile world he knows, the one where his father was a hero, his mother a saint? Just stress, I lied, my voice thin. He set down the knife, his eyes searching mine. Hey, what's going on with you lately? You're distant. Talk to me. I forced a smile, my heart twisting. It's nothing, just adjusting to the move, your mom's situation. The words tasted sour. I hated lying to him, but the truth felt like a grenade. His inheritance, his sense of self, even his safety, all at risk if Richard was as dangerous as Linda claimed. He nodded, unconvinced, and went back to chopping. The silence between us grew, heavy with my unspoken burden. Secrets don't stay buried forever, and I could feel this one clawing its way out. That night, I lay awake, wrestling with my choice. Tell Aaron, and risk him confronting Richard, a man Linda called unstable. Stay silent, and let her manipulation fester, poisoning our marriage. Either way, I was betraying someone. The next morning, I found Aaron on the phone with Linda, his voice gentle. Yeah, Mom, I'll come by later. Rest, okay? He hung up, catching my eye. She's talking about a bucket list now. It's hitting me hard. My stomach churned. Her lies were relentless, weaving tighter around him. I wanted to scream the truth. She's not dying. Your father's alive. But the note's warning stopped me. Richard was watching, and I didn't know how close he was. I needed more. Proof of his identity, his threats, something to protect Aaron before I shattered his world. I slipped out, claiming Aaron's, and checked my phone. No new texts, but the silence felt ominous. I drove past Linda's, spotting a car I didn't recognize idling nearby. My pulse spiked. Was it Richard? I snapped a photo of the license plate, my hands shaking. The truth was a tightrope, and I was running out of time to balance. Aaron deserved honesty, but at what cost? I clutched the photo of the strange car's license plate, my nerves frayed from spotting it near Linda's house. The truth about Aaron's father, Richard, really William Trent, her husband's business partner, felt like a live wire in my hands. Linda's lies, the threats, her fake cancer, all to hide Aaron's paternity, had pushed me to the edge. I'd kept it from Aaron, torn between protecting him and shattering his world, but the weight of my silence was crushing. Every moment I delayed, the secret grew sharper, cutting deeper into our marriage. That afternoon, a letter arrived, addressed to Aaron in crisp, legal font. I froze, my heart pounding as he tore it open. It's from a lawyer, he said, his voice tight. He read aloud. We're requesting confirmation of paternity records for a pending estate matter involving William Trent. Aaron's face drained of color. William Trent? Mom's old boss? He looked at me, confusion turning to suspicion. What the hell is this? I couldn't speak, my throat tight. He stormed out, the letter crumpled in his fist, heading straight for Linda's. I followed, dread pooling in my stomach. When we arrived, Linda was in the kitchen, her face crumpling as Aaron thrust the letter at her. "What is this?" he demanded. "Who's William Trent to me?" She broke, tears streaming down her face. "He's your father," she sobbed. "I lied. Your dad didn't die in a crash. I had an affair. I'm so sorry, Aaron." The room went silent, Aaron's rage a quiet, searing thing. He didn't shout, just stared at her, his world unraveling. Then he turned and left, the door slamming behind him. I stayed, my eyes locked on Linda. "You did this," I said, my voice low. "You let it come to this." That night, Aaron sat on our couch, staring at the floor. "Did you know?" he asked, his voice barely audible. I nodded, my heart breaking. "I found out. The cancer, the lies. I wanted proof before I told you." "Why didn't you tell me?" His eyes met mine, raw with betrayal. "Because I wanted to protect you," I said, tears falling. "The same way she said she was." He didn't speak for days, the silence heavier than any fight. He cut Linda off, refusing her calls, her apologies. For a year they didn't talk, the wound too deep. But time softened the edges. Eventually he forgave her, not because he approved, but because hating her was exhausting. We rebuilt, stronger, closer. The truth remaking us instead of destroying us.